How are you? I'm very, very happy to be back home here. Let me just get the camera set up. We're trying a new little camera detail. So let us know what you think. But hopefully everyone has gotten the message. Hello, Michelle. So I was sitting here looking around, making sure that my desk is set up and everything is in order. And all of a sudden glanced up and went, oh, it's a couple minutes past time. So here I am, everyone. It is so good to see you. Boy, what a few days we have had. Let me find something to show you. And anybody in this general area will understand this. Let me bring it right up. It's just been magical. So here we are. This is looking out my living room window at my birdhouse. And by the news reports, we got 11 inches, and my daughter in Greensboro got 12 inches, and Lexington got 16. So, oh, that's wonderful. Hi, Debbie. Yes, in fact, let me go ahead and close out of this one. I had so much fun at Myrtle Beach Quilt Show showing this because that was last year's class. And whoops, I'm turning the wrong thing. Here you go. But it was last year's class, and oh my gosh, I got such good feedback on it. I was tickled. So it was so cute. The teacher, who I dearly love, Patty Cline, she was holding it up so people could take pictures. And she said, "Did you stuff the applique cherries on the border?" And I said, "Yes." And she rolled her eyes. I thought that was so cute. Hello, Joe Sows. Look what I got in the mail when I got back. Look at this. Isn't this the cutest? And isn't that the truth? As long as the bank account, no one's looking at that, hey, I can have a lot of fun. And you know what? Thank you so much, Miss Joso, for that. I really, really enjoyed that. I got such a kick out of it. I laughed out loud. But I was going to spend money this time. I was like, I've been really good, and I'm going to buy some fabric. And I was very excited about that. But then what happened is we got the forecast for the terrible weather, so I ended up having to come home early, which shifted everything. And in fact, I didn't even get to say hello to Miss Lily and let her know that Pat Fry sent her best. I went to her classroom because when we started, I thought we'd have plenty of time. And when I realized I was probably going to go home early, I went over to her class, and she was holding one of those little sessions where all the students come and gather around her. So I thought, oh, I'm not going to disturb her. And then we ended up, I mean, it was a little bit chaotic. Well, not too bad, but just some, people started packing to move. Michelle, the quilter's here. Hi. All images are backwards. Oh, now that's interesting. Okay. Well, this cute little I wonder why. Let me see if I can get it to come up correctly from over here, okay? Now, can you read this? I hope you can. But isn't that the cutest? And it's a lovely ballet pink. This camera washes it out, but it's a lovely ballet pink color. So I'm hoping you can see that. I'm wondering why that camera shows things backwards, but we'll have to check that out because it's a new camera and it's not my camera that I'm used to and very attached to. So we'll see. But I don't want to show you this yet. But let me switch back to main camera. But anyway, we had a good time. I wanted to send a shout out word to Ukraine, and I wanted to keep Mr. Patty and Miss Renee in our thoughts. And all right, so the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party was so much fun. We had a good number of new people. Anybody that's interested, if the official time and date is Wednesday and you leave Sunday morning. And the hotel's always been nice enough that I said, could I have a few extra days at the discounted rate that goes with the quilt party? And they say yes. So that's my special vacation. And the first couple days the weather was wonderful, and I sat out on the balcony. Let me see if I can find some of the pictures for that. But I'm probably going to have to go to, yes, I'm going to have to go to a different folder. But anyway, let me bring up the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party folder and show you. But there were some days it was really lovely. And and I got the best room. I was so excited. So let me show you a picture of this. I love that y'all recognize each other and chat with each other. That means so much. Okay, so I asked the front desk one evening when I called, could I have the room closest to the ocean? And he gave me a room where I actually was ocean front on one side. I was so thrilled to have this window because they have the windows over here, but this really brought in such wonderful light. And here is the resort looking out. And the first few days were lovely. It was in the 50s. I sat out and sewed. In fact, I think you can kind of see my sewing bag is hooked onto this chair. It is just lovely. I had intentions of going out and walking on the pier, but that changed when the weather changed. But here is the balcony that you go out the door when you stay in the room. And let me see. So anybody who's interested, here is the room. Very nice room. I wanted the room with a king-size bed and a sofa because sometimes it's really hard when you're always sitting on the bed. I like to be able to have a sofa to sit comfortably on. And then there was a table here and a chair. So yep, there's the sofa. It's a neighboring hotel. Sorry, the picture's blurry. I was trying to take it and drive. And, but look at how they light up that hotel. Isn't that the coolest? I wanted to send Hopi a picture of it. This is the resort I was staying in. It's a horseshoe-shaped wing, and I was staying on this side over here, around, not this back part. And here I am sitting out. I've got my quilt. That is my sparrow quilt. I was sitting out on the balcony and binding the quilt. That was such a lovely experience for January. So I highly recommend it. And so anyway, that's good for right now, but we'll get to the quilt I made. But I tell you what, if I could somehow wrap you all up and take you with me, I would love that. So I will definitely share the information for it. It is just a joy. And Mardell Smith does the best job putting this on. She has been doing it 36 years. She is amazing. And luckily, she looks like she's training her granddaughter to take it over one day. And her granddaughter is sweet as she can. I've asked her, send me a picture of the stuff because she does really cool clothing and accessories. So as soon as she sends me a picture, she gets brave enough, I'm going to show it to y'all. But it was absolutely wonderful. That I actually sold a few stickers, and we had one night the teachers do a show and tell, and I've got the photos for that. Then the next night they do a yard sale where people can sell their own stuff, anything quilt related. And then the next night they do a student show and tell. Now, a good number of people had already left because we were being told, in fact, our teacher had to leave Friday at noon. And I talked to Mark and he said, tell him about what was going to start. And I made the right decision leaving. I didn't want to. I thought I've paid for this. I'm going to enjoy it. And the banquet and all of that. And I wanted to get the group show and tell pictures, but I've got good news for you. Lisa, who is my right hand partner in crime, I met her at Myrtle Beach a couple of years ago. She took pictures and sent to me. So I'm thrilled. And thank you, Lisa. So I am missing a few. Friday night when they did a open show and tell, anybody that was there could show their quilts. My camera died about halfway through. I'm really sorry, but I was like, I'm doing the best I can. I was sick the week before I went up. In fact, I looked back at my last broadcast. I looked terrible. I had been sick for a week with an upper respiratory, achy, who knows what. So I really needed that time away, and thank you so much. So it was wonderful. I loved being able to show the teacher from last year my sparrow quilt and told her, I love that pattern so much. I made finished two quilts in 1 year. And I said, it's a good pattern when I made so many. But this, I tell you, if you ever have a quilt and you want to add something to it, I'm so happy I put the applique border on this. Yes, it took a while to get it done because I have to focus and make myself concentrate. But I think it made the quilt. And I had people wanting to take pictures of the applique border. And they said, did you think of this yourself? And it's like, yep. And it's so easy. These kind of things aren't that difficult. And we've got the whole world at our fingertips, right at our phones and our laptops. And you can go out and research this stuff. It's really good. So it made the quilt, and I'm so glad. It turns a quilt from a quilt to an heirloom, if you know what I mean, and I'm really tickled with it. All right. So then I get home Saturday afternoon, and I'm very lucky. I did have some freezing rain on the way home, only one little patch. And the only way I knew is it looked like raindrops. But when I went to turn on the windshield wipers, it was ice. And it was like scratch, like as if it were sand. So I was very happy to get home. And then a few hours, we were able to unload the car. A few hours later, the weather started. And we ended up getting a couple inches of snow and a couple inches of sleet and freezing rain. So we have not left this house since Saturday, the 24th, right? 24th, 25th, whatever that day's last Saturday was. We haven't left the house. And you love collectibles. Me too. So, okay, I didn't know if there was somebody else. I was going to have my glasses around my neck like I usually do, but my eyeglass chain was blue and it just clashed. So a girl had to take it off. So anyway, but oh, it's so good to see all of you. But we we were just iced in. We actually didn't have any plows come through for 4 or 5 days, but when they did, they couldn't do anything with this ice. So it's luckily Mark looked around. He said, I think we're okay. We won't need anything. We can just hunker down. And I have this habit of cooking meals in bulk and then freezing them, which I'm going to stick with. I love it. So if I cook spaghetti, I end up cooking enough for 5 dinners. And the same with it, meatloaf, whatever it is, a big pot of soup, whatever. And that we have been eating that most of this week. And I just wanted to say, I'm very humble saying this. Mark has made every dinner this week. So he said, if you cook the big batch, I'll prepare it. But that is such a treat. It is such a treat. So, and I took Lisa out to dinner when we were at Myrtle Beach, and the hotel has a really nice restaurant. We talked for like 2 hours that night, and she's an amazing lady. Oh, I do have something a little bit sad. She has a pickup truck that she's named the Beast because it's a huge truck, because she camps and likes to pull a trailer. Well, unfortunately, the first night she was there, a woman ran a red light and hit her. And not only hit her, but hit another car. So the last time I talked to Miss Lisa, the Beast was in a shop. But luckily, she's got good insurance, and they got her a rental car, and hopefully they'll get it fixed. But I felt so bad for her because we went out to dinner, then she went out to grab a few supplies. I had to go out and pick up something. Came back, noticed the Beast wasn't in his parking space. And then she called and said, I got into an accident. So people, be careful. Don't try to rush through red lights. It is just so dangerous. Luckily, the Beast protected her beautifully and she wasn't injured. Well, her back was kind of tweaked a little, but she got very lucky. All right, so let me see. So this week I've been crafting a lot. I've been doing some hand sewing. Let me show you a couple things. I have a new miniature dollhouse that I worked on this week. And then I said I wanted a project to take with me to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party so I could do by hand. Because after you sit in a class all day, you don't want to come back to your room and sit by a sewing machine. So I took this but didn't work on it. But when I came home, I knew right where it was and it had everything I needed with it. I like packing these in a nice tote or a sturdy plastic container and putting the thread colors I need and everything that I need with it. So this is a quilt. Let's see if you remember this, that Alex Anderson, it's her neutrals quilt, and Alex Anderson did sometime during the pandemic. So I think it's at least 4 years old, okay? And it is really cool. And it's a good experience for me because, as you can tell, I like bright colors. This is neutrals, and you learn to value the beauty in neutrals. So here is the body of the quilt and what I'm working on now, because I am so focused on getting projects done. I didn't used to be, but the older you get, you realize, time is not on my side, and any quilt that doesn't get finished ends up not really being very valuable because my daughters are knitters. They are not going to finish a quilt. So, so I said, I need to have a legacy, and my legacy is getting these quilts finished. But I did do this. This is one of the borders for the neutral quilt, and I worked on this week, and it has been wonderful just to kind of tuck in and work on finishing up a project. So now this is the first border I've started. I've got over halfway done on the second border. Then I have 2 more to do, and I will be done. Let me do something while I'm sitting right here. I ran out of flower petals, and I told myself I need to grab some more freezer paper, because on this applique, I am doing freezer paper for the backing. It gives it a nice crisp shape. And then let me see if there's another box. This is not open yet. Yes. I always worry that they're going to stop making freezer paper, because the only people I really know who use freezer paper are quilters. But let me grab a piece while I'm thinking about it, because I've got the fabric to make more, but I wanted to get some freezer paper. All right, so I'll put that in my basket and remember to take it up. But freezer paper, for anybody who doesn't know, which I doubt there's anybody out there who quilts that doesn't know how wonderful freezer paper is, it's got a plasticized coating on it. And if you take and iron that plastic side against fabric, it sticks. And you can pull it off and reuse it, sometimes 6 or 8 times. But I'll take that up and I'll draw the shape of the little flower petals. Then I will iron the fabric to it, and then fold in the little seam allowances and glue them. Cheryl's on the cruise. Yay. Okay, sweetheart. Oh, have a fun time. That is so wonderful. I am thrilled for you. I've never taken a cruise. Thanks for saying hi, though. What a thrill you gave us. Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, Michelle remembers the neutrals quilt. And you know what? When I just get the flowers put on, I'm ready to put it on the quilt frame. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, the other thing I did was I got this off of Temu. It was like, Christmas was over and it was on sale for like $13, $14. And I got it. Now it's tiny, and actually the fact that it's so small made it a little hard, because do you see these big old hands? My hands are bigger than this little kit, but I love that it has a little front light, and here it is. It's got a fireplace that has a light in it, Christmas tree with 2 lights. It's got a little couch and a table, and you fold felt, make it look like a turkey. I was like, okay, if you say so. Then there's a bookcase in there, and then there is a bed with a Santa hat and a stocking. So it's really cute. I love these little things. It's got a little drawer here for the batteries for it, but these new LEDs are so cute that it hardly uses any battery power. The one thing that they really did outstanding on this is they made a snow globe. So this is a little sheet of that. What would you call it? But it's, we use it to make patterns and things. So it's a little acrylic sheet that you end up putting over it. But you build the Christmas tree in there. Oh, Marcia has a new bookcase. That's great. But you see how you decorate your tree, put it in there. Then you put in all these little shaky bits that make it a real little tiny snow globe. Isn't that the cutest thing? So I did enjoy that. And the only thing I would say, that would not be a good first project because the instructions were kind of wonky. You know, they were in Chinese after all. And some of the steps weren't easily understandable. So, but otherwise, for the price, it was a lot of fun. Let me come in here and hold on just a second. I want to show you more pictures of that. So, let's see. Where is my show and tell? Come on. I know it's here. What happens is I get used to looking. Where's show and tell? I know it's here somewhere. I better put my glasses on. Where did show and tell go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So let me find some pictures. I put a folder in here. February 1st. There it is. Okay, so now let me show you these. These are some photos I took to close up. You finished all the little pieces for the tailor shop. Now you need to put the walls and ceiling on. Excellent. And pay close attention to where they want you to put the lighting and the lighting wires, because I get so excited making all the doodads. This box right here with the bow on it and a little bead is about a half an inch big. And there were some that were a quarter of an inch when you finish building them. So that's the only thing. It takes a little bit of patience, and use tweezers because your hands get kind of sticky with the glue. But here is the felt turkey and the beads that are tomatoes and the little sponge you cut up to make it look like parsley. And here's a little candle I made that I rolled up, and a little glass you make out of rubber tubing or plastic tubing and then put a sticker on. Here's the little couch I made. These things, this is supposed to be a gift bag. These are so much fun to make. All of these little things you make. They give you the background star. You glue this half bead on it. Then they give you that some gold ball chain. And oh, take good care, Michelle. It was so good to see you. And you put the little bead on the chain. I mean, it's just so much fun. So I did enjoy this. This will go into my Christmas decorations for every year when we bring them out. This one was inexpensive and is small and sturdy enough that this one the grandkids can, enjoy looking at. So there we go. All right. So I got that done this week. So it was a pretty good week, all things considered. So anytime you just end up getting a bunch of snow, what do? You just take it easy and you don't fight it. So, all right. Now I'm going to come back to y'all. I was supposed to have a procedure today because that's the problem about not wearing the eyeglass holder. I'm so used to having one on, and I'll go to put these and I just pull them off and let go of them because normally they're on a chain. Well, but I was supposed to have a procedure today to remove the kidney stone pieces I still have. But when we found out how much snow Lexington, North Carolina was going to get, and that's where I was going to have the procedure, we canceled. I think everyone did. It's like, no. And I would have had to have been there at 6 a.m., which means I'd have to leave here at 4:30 a.m., and it's going to be ice everywhere. That's one of the problems we have is it melts during the day and then it freezes. Last night's low temperature, I think, was 11. So it's tricky. It's tricky. So, all right. So I will do that procedure later. I got my sparrow quilt that I showed you, my new mini house Christmas sale kit. And okay, now I'm going to show you my class quilt in process. Let's go to the close-up camera and I'll get ready to show you. I think this is going to be a winner. The pattern, the name of the pattern is Pecan Blossoms. I forgot what she called it, something like checks and blossoms or something. And so it's supposed to look like an applique quilt. But the good thing is you don't have to applique it. You do stitch and flip, meaning you have this square. You put a piece on here, you stitch it, you flip it, then you put this piece on here, you stitch it and flip it, and you cut off what's left over. And I did something with that in mind that I've never done. The teacher said, if you want, while you got those triangles that you're going to cut off, you could sew them together. And so what I did was anything this big or bigger, it had to be almost 2 inches. When I was sewing on the stitch and flip, now I can tell you right where this one was. This was supposed to be this part right here, okay? And so if it was this big, what I did is I stitched the line that I'm supposed to for the pattern, then I stitched another one 1/4 of an inch away. And I don't know what I'll do with these, but I thought, I have never done that. I'd always heard Bonnie Hunter is a real proponent of, instead of just throwing these away, go ahead and stitch them. I had some, I don't know where they are, but I had some of prettier fabric instead of just the green and off-white, but I might not have them in this bag right now, but I've got a whole mess of these. So I will see what I'm going to do with them, but just keep that in mind. But I did so much of that it was just like this one and this, all of these, if they were big enough. Now, the little ones like right here, and that's by the time you finish, it's less than an inch or less. I just threw those out. But I made these before I went to class because I wanted to use an assortment of fabrics and I wanted to see how it would look. And this fabric, I knew it was going to be reds and pinks, and I picked a green. You might wonder, why did I pick the green that I did? But when you look at the fabric, do you see how it's a greenish gray or greenish brown? So I was very sensitive to using the fabrics of that feel. Now, I would love to say I had more to show you, but let me tell you how I like to work on things. I put together one block just to make sure that I was going to like how it came out. So I put together one block. But then here are my sashing. Here are going to be, instead of this elongated 9 patch, it's just going to be a regular 9 patch for the sashing and cornerstones. So I've made those, all of those. I'm not sure with this. I think it's just going to be an outer border. I'm not sure. I had forgotten I'd cut it a while ago. Then here are the leaf blocks. So it was a rectangle of the leaf color, and you put a square on here, cut, flip, little square here, cut, flip. So, and with these leaves, if you look at this pattern, the leaves are mirror images of each other. So you can't just make one kind of leaf. You have to do them like this, mirror images. And that way, when you go to make the block, this one would go here, and this one would go here. And now you can see the leaf. So I made these. I like to make all the individual components first, because then you just assemble, and that it just keeps my brain straight. So this is going to be the little stem block. I made all of those. And this actually was a rectangle of the green, and you put squares on either side. And now you know why I have so many cream and green half triangle squares. And then lastly, and oh, I did want to show you. I did do all of these elongated, they called them loop blocks, and I put this part on there. So these are ready to go, but they're all a little different. I used parts of a jelly roll, so I was able to use them differently. But when it came for these to go in as cornerstones and in the border, I decided I wanted a little bit more of a pop. So that's why, in fact, I bought this fabric at the quilt at Myrtle Beach Quilt Party. So I was real tickled to get that. I thought it was a sweet design. Then I asked the ladies in class to give me assistance as to what red to use. And they said, go for contrast. So I said, that's a good idea because these are low contrast right here. These are for the center of the block. And I thought, well, that works for that because you don't, if I had put something this bright here, the whole block would have been one tint. It would have been one intensity. And your eye gets bored if you have one intensity. So it helps. It gives your eye a place to rest compared to these striking colors of the corner blocks. So just remember, always have light, medium, and dark in all the different parts of your quilt. So now these will go on here. This will go around the edge. And I'm not seeing my picture of this quilt. I must have left it somewhere. But I do have the picture in the photos. But I think this is going to work. Now, really funny. Okay, I used the darkest red for these flowers. There's a little part of me wished I had used a fabric that read more like a solid dark red. But my daughter, when she saw a picture of this block, she said, oh, I love your strawberries. And I thought to myself, who even knows what a pecan blossom looks like? They're so tiny. And I thought, okay, this will be my strawberry quilt. Works for me. So now I'm going to call it my strawberry quilt. But I love that it looks old-fashioned. It looks like a colonial era type quilt, things that were so popular back in the mid-19th century. And I am loving it. This is going to be a special one for me as well. So I just thought I would show you why you're not seeing more blocks done. But hopefully by next Sunday, a lot more will be put together with this. Now let me put these away because there's so many things up here to show you. What a mess. All right. All righty. All right. So now let me come back to the main. So now what we have left to talk about today is, even though I was going to treat Miss Lisa to dinner because Miss Lisa gifted me that fabric. It was French General, all of the reds and all of the pinks. Beautiful in a case last year. She's the sweetest thing. And let me tell you, she's highly intelligent and she's nobody's fool. Let me tell you. So she was a lot of fun. And we both are introverts, so we would get together, talk, and then go to our own rooms. So that's because I need that downtime to recharge my batteries. But she, being that rascal she is, oh, I hope I remembered the pen. I don't think I was yet. So I set up everything for yesterday's show, set it upstairs, and then we couldn't get anything to operate. He thought my laptop was gone bad, but it started doing better. Uh-oh, sorry to hear about. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Never mind. All right. So here is a cute little tin. She gave me these tins, and you notice the common theme because I do dearly love my flamingos, and these tins are wonderful. They are great for carrying safety pins, for carrying needles, and if you take and put a little magnet in the inside of the lid, then you can put your needles and things and they'll stick to it instead of falling all over the floor. So how cool is that? And then look at this. This is a wonderful tool caddy. I've already put my name on it, but isn't that wonderful? So I'll have to find a great place to put that. And then look at this. I mean, really, is that the cutest little thing? And I love these rope bowls. And it's the positive flamingo. Now, the problem is you can't read that. It's backwards. So let's try this. Okay. See the little positive flamingo? Isn't that cute? So that's just adorable. And then she gave me this wonderful thing. And let me tell you what Lisa is, her future when she retires. She works 2 full-time jobs. She's a busy woman. And I love that saying. And so she works 2 full-time jobs. She's so busy. She said she's hoping that when she retires, she's going to get a 5th wheel trailer to pull behind her beast of a truck. And then she's going to travel around. She's going to get one that's called a toy hauler and put her big long arm in it and travel around and just quilt and enjoy. Isn't that lovely? I just think that is fabulous. So, okay. So now I'll get ready and show you the little things that I got from the quilt party. I did manage to get just a few, but let me show you that. Whoops. This one. Okay. In the tote. Oh, I don't have the tote handy. I moved it out of the way. We always get a big tote at the quilt party. This was in it. Thank you so much. I love any iron cleaning things. And then look at this wonderful 45-degree little ruler. Let me put my glasses on and see what they call this. This is a sewing machine seam guide. Oh, now how cool is that? And you know, when you get a ruler like this and it could be blue or whatever, this is just the protective paper. And make sure you always peel that off your rulers, because otherwise you can't see through it to see what you're doing. So there, we got that one. And then a cute little emery board, which those come in so handy. Then some snips. We got a pair of snips. And these are, somebody, I don't know where they got these, but look how cute this is. Isn't that sweet? And these were so nice because you could put your phone in it. You could put some change or a credit card so you could shop. Then you're supposed to put your name tag here, but I will right here. I kind of stuck mine there, but then it has a pocket in here. That's where your phone can go, your room key, whatever. But isn't that the neatest idea? So I'm going to make sure I pack this with my stuff every time. I don't know if I was supposed to turn that in. If I was, I apologize. All right, so then I went to the yard sale. And first at the yard sale, there was a giveaway table. And you know, my daughter, she works with farmers all the time. And I saw this cutie pie bag on the giveaway table. And I thought, I might give that to her. And then I don't know what someone had made with this, but this is Jenny Beyer fabric. And so all I have to do is unmake it. And then I'll have all of this dark teal fabric. So I was thrilled. This was free. And then look at this, more Jenny Beyer. This is her eyelash fabric in a navy blue. Isn't that pretty? So those were my freebies. And then there were people selling some of their fabrics. And I managed to get, this is 5 half-yard by width of fabric, Cave Facet, because he's one person that for some reason I've never bought much of his fabric, but this will be fun. So that would be really good for kaleidoscope quilts. I will find something good. And it was only $6. Good deal. Then I saw this on a table for $2. I grabbed it. And because I always have to, doing landscapes as much as I do, I have to try to remember to keep sunset colors. So, and a half plus yard for $2. Good deal. So it's really nice that people can sell things they no longer need. I only managed to buy, I told you about the fabric I bought at that I already used in our class quilt. And then I saw this and just, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I'll be able to go nutty crazy if I do kaleidoscopes with this. So I got a yard of this. And I think it was only $8. So what a good deal. All right, and that was from Schoolhouse Quilts in North Carolina. I know a lot of people know Schoolhouse Quilts. They are just a lovely company, and the daughter or daughter-in-law keeps things going. All right, and here, once again, my cute little house. All right, so now I have 2 things left, and one thing that I have is I've been working on our Snowman Art Quilt, Canvas Art Quilt. I am really liking those Canvas Art Quilts because they're easy to display, easy to make, and we've got a challenge going on this one because the challenge is to try to make what is an AI illustration of a quilt. And now, what did I do? I keep doing funny things with these supplies. I'm a little off kilter today. I must have left the picture for this upstairs, but I can show it to you right now. Luckily, with the 2-camera system and the OBS that Mark finally, he was so wonderful. He had to teach me and teach me and teach me. But let me come and go to, Snowman. Let me see. This would be under 2025 project. I think so. Let me find the Snowman. Where is that little guy? Now, I know I knew where it was because I put it on our front listing. Oh, well. Okay. He's on a wire. I don't see it. Now, let me see. Would it be under Christmas? I think, yes, here it is. Okay, this is the AI snowman that we are working on. And yes, they do, Debbie. They know I love flamingos. Aw. So, this, there are some reasons you can tell that this is fake. Okay? If it looks too good to be true, it is. Just tell yourself that right now. If you look at this hat, that hat comes out towards you. It's a 3-dimensional hat. You can see at this point, they somehow brought out that brim. And see the stitching right here? Well, if you really stitched on the fabric there, it would sink in. But that stitching that's staying up in that shape, and then like with these leaves, there's stitching underneath here, but then there's stitching on top of those, and see how they look like they move? They're like sticking up and then back down. Well, that is not the way, a normal way that a piece works. And then with this sweater fabric they've got here for his scarf, that's not possible to do ordinarily on a regular quilt, because normally all these fabrics would be put on a quilt and then quilted as one. But this is such a cool looking picture. And like this is puffed up. Well, if you puff this up and then quilted it, which is what you normally would do, then it wouldn't be as puffed up, quite as big. So, and then if you look at some of these quilting patterns, I don't know what they are. They're unusual looking kind of things, like what is this? Is that a snake head? What is this? I mean, I think it's supposed to be a heart. I don't know. And then here's the binding, but look at the top stitching along the binding. That's just not something normal that we do with the quilts. And then, of course, you can see that the holly berries stick up nice and proudly. So do all of these things. The hat puffs up, and see how it puffs up, even though it's got quilting on it. You can tell it sticks up pretty high off the fabric. Or this, how did they get this nose, the carrot nose, to be crinkled like that but sewn on? So they're just little hints that tell you this is not possible. If these had truly been sewn on, there would be a divot right there where they're sewn on. And I see thread where they're supposedly sewn on, but it's not quite possible. So, and just look at these branches. They're very artistic, but I've never seen anybody even with applique, be able to do that. So, all right. So let's now show you what I've gotten done so far, because we're going to try to outwit these spammer people, and we're going to try to outwit them. So here is my drawing of what we're doing. Here are all the fabrics that I have been using, so I carry it all around together. Here is my canvas. Now, I drew on the canvas, the picture. And you notice that canvas is bigger than this picture. So I did the 16 rectangle thing, where you take and you fold the paper. You keep folding it in half and half and half until you get 16 equal rectangles. Then I drew some fine little hash lines on the canvas so that I could then very easily, what you do is you just draw what you see in that rectangle. And it makes it very easy to, number one, to accurately copy a picture, but number two, it also makes it very easy to enlarge or shrink a picture. Okay? Because as long as you have the 16 rectangles, then you can make this whatever size you want. Maybe what you're working on, this rectangle would be 6 by 10. And so you could make it a lot larger. So it's a really good little technique. And I did this on graph paper, so I can just count where everything is going to go. So now let me show you. Let me bring in my lamp over here and just show you what I have been doing. All right, I started to glue this fabric on, but realized, oops, hold on. This has to be quilted first. Now, they quilted theirs with gray thread so that the quilting really stands out. And let me show you that. So they quilted theirs with gray thread, and you can see here. But I don't know. I'm just been taught not to do that. Maybe I should have done it. But then look at this is supposed to be the binding, and look how puffy this is. How do you do that? And so what I ended up doing, let me come back to mine. What I ended up doing is after I quilted this, so to quilt this, I have a piece of cotton batting inside of this, cotton batting, and then I have a backing. It's just an off-white scrap fabric. In fact, here it is, this right here that I had. So, and then I put cotton batting in this part so it wouldn't be too puffy. Now, this is the base of the snowman that I had done last week because I had to take and make one fabric on the front, one fabric on the back, and batting in between. And so it would show because on that snowman, his body is quilted, but it's not quilted at the same time the background is because you can tell it is separate. Let me show you that one more time. So if you look, see this? It's quilted differently than the background is. And so I did that separately. All right. So then now I wanted to start working on the arms and this scarf. So let me show you what I did for that. Okay. So what I did is I found some fabric. This is a flannel. And I don't know if it's actual wool flannel or flannel. And this is not perfectly glued down because remember, you can't sew this down. Everything has to be fused or glued. And so I've got stuffing under here. And there is a backing for this because what I needed to do is to have it look, and I'm going to come back and glue this down a little touch more to really show that that this piece came up over the top in a kind of loop to hold this on. But I took the fabric and the batting and the backing and stitched around the edge to hold it together to try to make sure it had a puffy look. And I sewed some little creases here where the original showed that texture. And then what I did, when it came time to glue this down, I only glued the edges and anywhere that there was a stitching line, because the stitching line was to show texture, like it had really been folded and looped and all of that. So that's how I maintained, and there's quite a bit. See, there's quite a bit of dimension and texture in that. So that was my imitation of their scarf. But even with all how hard I worked on this, I couldn't make it look exactly like theirs. Then I cut out the stick arms, and there is one. And then here is going to be the second one. And on this arm, I've decided to put a cardinal. So I've started the work on my cardinal. And he actually, once he's all cut out and stitched down, he's going to go behind this branch like this, behind that branch arm. I've still got to come in and put the black on his face and put a bill on him, but I wanted to I just wanted to block in the colors for him. So he'll be down kind of like this. And then this branch will be glued over the top of him. And it'll be all trimmed out once I come in here and secure all these pieces. And I'm going to find a little black bead to put for his eye so that shows. And I need to, while I'm down here, get some nice gold beak material. A nice good gold. So I've gotten this cut out, and if you notice, it's on a backing, and it's got batting in the middle. so that I'll get some shape. Even though there wasn't a bird in the original, I wanted something bright because it's so much blue and white. So then now I've also started on his hat. Remember how I told you that there was quilting in the hat? There was quilting in the hat, but it wasn't done on the quilt itself. So when I get the face here, the hat's probably going to go about right there. So here is his hat, and I'm probably going to outline this with black thread. I'll probably do like a zigzag over this. But here's the hat band to try to give some texture on that. And then I still need to go around, make sure it's well stuffed, and push the batting into all the places I need. I will then do a black zigzag around this. I want it to show, and it's going to be a little tricky to get it to show well. What they've done on the original is put a white sewing edge, and it's a funny kind of stitch. It's kind of large, but not. I'll show it to you right here. And if you look, they've gotten theirs to stand out by doing this a very thick thread stitch. So I'll have to try that. And here is what would be laying on the quilt. This is the part I still haven't quite managed to figure out yet. But I'm going to have to put a brim that comes out away from that. Now let me come back here. So I will, before I sew this down, I'm going to sew a piece of fabric that comes out. And what I'll do is I'll make it have a front and a back. And so that way when it sticks out, it's a finished seam. And I might take some cross stitch thread, and because that thread's very noticeable, and maybe hand stitch around this before I glue it down into place. So I wanted to show you some ways. Here's my drawing again. And what I did is used the drawing on the large drawing of the canvas, and I used some of the Steamacine too, and I drew and numbered each leaf and kind of did a hint of where berries go so that I would know where to put things. And this is some of the berries that I put in. Anywhere I could, I drew those in. These I need to draw here so I can actually get some fusible. And what I'm going to have to do for all of these berries is make a background so that when I put the red on the top and stitch around them, I've got something to stitch against. And I will be using the polyester batting for this. And I'll be going back to these reds for this. And also I used some reasonably heavyweight fusible interfacing and put on some of these that I wanted to have enough body so that when you pre-quilted them, they would hold that shape. But as you can see, I numbered and drew. And then what I did, some of these you have to do twice. You make 2 pieces per thing. Because here are some of the leaves I've already cut out. Well, now that has a sticky side here, but it's going to be sticking to batting, which then is going to be sticking to backing. So what I did is I made 2 of every piece. This is piece number 3. This is going to be the backing. So when I find the piece number 3 that goes with this, which I think might be, yep, it's this one, I want to show you how they are going to fit like this. And I will put some batting in between, then stitch around the edge, and then do a nice vein in the center. Then this will be glued down on to this. Okay? So it's a lot. It's a lot. In fact, here are some of the little berries that I've already put this background fabric. And I will make sure to make another one for the red fabric, just like this. And it's time consuming, but I think it's going to be an interesting project. So it takes a lot of preparation. It takes a really good fusible, and I'm using good old tacky glue because sometimes fusible isn't enough. And then I've got to find some white fabric, and I'll just put a dot in for, I'm not sure what kind of berries these are. And so here is what I've got, and I'm just working on all of these. And as I get the top layer, the top fabric, and once I get the backing fabric, then I can take them to the machine. Now, I am not sewing them and turning them inside out. That would drive me nuts. I'm just doing a raw edge, and I will go around with not steam machine. I will go around with fray check, and I will fray check the edges once they're all glued down. And sometimes with this glue, you have to just keep coming back and making sure it's in the right place and pressing it down. But I didn't glue in here. I didn't glue in here. I only glued where sewing lines are so that I would still have that nice puffiness. And see how you still get a puffy this, and then it's just, I took a good tacky glue and glued this down. Now, which means, what am I going to do for this edge of the frame? I think what I'm going to do is paint that edge. And I might paint it a black or a tan. I haven't decided. I might try to match the blue and paint the edge. But I do want a little finished look on this edge. Normally, I would wrap the fabric around to the back, but that was going to be a bit tricky since I had to glue this, what looks like a sewn line, down. So here we are. I'm hoping that this will work out and get as close as we can, but you at least see how the original is not something you can reproduce. This is what a real quilted branch looks like. And let me show you the one in their picture. And you might say, well, but maybe if you had quilted it once, had already put it down and then quilted the background, it just, you don't get that look. Now, I could take yarn and a big needle and run yarn in to puff it. Because see how it's puffy on its own? This is a lot of work if they really want you to believe that this was somebody made this. But see how this over here, this work right here would be called trapunto. And you would take a piece of yarn and take a big needle and stick it into here and pull the yarn through. And you'd have to do it more times for where it's thicker, less times, maybe only twice pulling a piece of yarn through here, leaving it in place. This would be like 5 pieces of yarn in there. That's really tricky. And look at this tiny little one, but it's puffed up. So I'm hoping you get a chance to just see why this is not real, and like right here, there's supposed to be some stitching, but then it kind of disappears here. You see that? Where is it going? It hasn't gone over here. So, besides being a really strange quilt design, like this one right here, here's the quilt line. How was this done here? They just, there's no stitch right there, and it's a big gap here. So how did they quite do that? So that's what doesn't make sense. And when you start noticing these little things, you go, aha, I'm being fooled. So this company, I think, was going to, in fact, look at this edge here, how it's gone way over. That's just odd looking, even though this outer edge of the binding is straight. Look at this one right here. So it's just, it just doesn't look quite right. And listen to your inner voice when it says that's not normal, and because it's not. This is unusual. Quite unusual. So anyway, I hope I've given you some inspiration. Next week I will pick back up with where I'm going to try to get more done this week, and then we'll start. I'll show you what I've got and where we're going to go next. So just be aware, because there are plenty of places that want to scam you, and it's mostly because they want you to pay money for something that doesn't exist. Like those little puppies, they say, look, it's so realistic that my neighbor who's a vet was fooled. There are no mechanical robotic puppies that look just like real. Trust me. So, but they want to try to get your money, and then you don't know, if you want to send it back, there's nobody to send it back to. So be very careful with your money, okay? All right, so now I'm going to go to your show and tell. So let's see what we've got. And oh, I know what. Yes, to show and tell. And we need to do the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party show and tell. So that's really exciting. All right, so show and tell. Let me see what I have. I may have something of yours. Bonnie did this wonderful new quilt. Bonnie she has been really working, and I love the two fabrics together. Now, if you look at that, the design and the texture on the vine fabric really gives movement and texture to what is basically rectangles on a quilt. I love that. Good eye, Miss Bonnie. All right, now let's see who else we might have. As soon as we finish this one, we are going to, come on. Okay, see, the computer is doing really, yes, I hit the wrong thing, whatever, but all in all, it's doing pretty darn good. So, Debbie, oh, her wonderful Christmas decorations. I love those. So I'll just show you this one because we enjoyed these all season. Love them. And she'll probably have something for Valentine's Day because she's so, so talented. Let me see what else I have. Okay, I'll show you my cute little. I told Mark, my daughter has a window bird feeder in her family room. And I told Mark, I really want one of these. He said, well, I'll have to take off the screen. It'll make the window look unusual compared to the others. But I said, please, please. And he agreed. Well, I get such joy out of this. And I have a platform feeder off the sunroom, but in the winter, it's too cold to spend much time in the sunroom. But here's a cardinal. But I love these little birds. And here is the lookout our front door during the wonderful snow. We go years without seeing snow. So this was just, pure eye candy. There's a cardinal way up there in that tree. So this is wonderful. Then Mark took these videos, and it's just so beautiful. This would have been Saturday where we had a bunch more snow. It snowed all day long. For some of you up north, this isn't much, but for us, this is a gift, a wintertime gift to see this. It's so beautiful. That's our chicken house. That's where our 3 retired hens live. Okay, I think I was going to do a show yesterday from the sunroom so you could see all the snow. but then we couldn't get this is the front porch. I put the seed. We couldn't get to that window feeder, but look at all the birdie traffic. So I would put the seed on the front porch, and my bird feeder out front. There's a Carolina wren that lives out there, and I dearly love her. And she nests under the eaves of our front porch and everything, and I dearly love her. So I got some seed from Walmart that's called Bugs and Berries, and she loves that. So there's the pond all frozen over, but look, isn't that just so sweet? But it's nice to see all the little birdie footprints, you know. All right, and I think he had one more, and it's out back with our platform feeder. Come on. It might be saying, you're showing a lot of movies right now. There's our platform feeder that Mark built for me years ago. Actually, it's been refurbished. There's rufous-sided towhee and cardinals and finches and wrens. I mean, we've got a good amount. Every once in a while, they'll realize he's standing inside the window photographing them, and they're like, oh no. But you can see why I like cardinals so much. There's a chickadee. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna zoom through, but you can. When this snow, he had filled it that morning, and it kept snowing over it. But they could smell them, so they dug for them. Okay, and here's some on the ground under the feeder. I like how nice and neat the snow makes my wintertime yard look. You don't see where I need to freshen the pine straw. All righty, now let me close this out. I wanted to show you one more thing while I'm here. I had the drawing on top of this canvas, and I drew all the little pieces onto the steamosine paper. But then I thought, how will I know where to place this once I put the blue background? And I had to put the blue background on before I start putting any of this stuff on. So what I did is I said, hey, take pictures of it. So I'm just going to show you where I took pictures of each section. You can see where they're numbered. I thought because I was thinking, how will I get this big canvas on the scanner? No, just take pictures. And then when I go to do it, I can look right at here and see exactly where to put everything. So just thought I would show you that little bit. All right, now go back to show and tell. I hope he did send me a cute little cartoon. Let me see, was it this one? But I might not have saved it. I thought I was going to, but let me see. Oh, that's right. This is a fabric store. Don't think it was this one. I love Carol Burnett so much. She's so funny. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what it was. I'll have to figure it out soon. But all right, go back to show and tell. And be thinking about our dear I don't know, do I have something new? But this is remarkable. This is what our Vicky, our Miss Joe sews. I love this quilt. It is a beauty. Good work on this one. And now let's see. Whoops. Wanted to go back to show and tell. Come on. Let's see. Okay. Let me see. Is there someone else? But poor Mary and Mark. I don't think I have any other new ones. Okay. Well, y'all have been busy. And I totally understand that. Do not worry. Okay, so now we're going to go to, all right, let's go to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party 2026. But I was going to tell you that Mary, her garage roof collapsed, and they had just had a new roof put on it not long ago. But the snow was so heavy. So anyway, yes, that chicken was a chicken coop. You're right. Mark and I built that when we first bought the house because I said I want chickens. So, and out here you could have them. I wish I could tell you who the people were and what the quilts were, but just enjoy the eye candy and you can do your own personal narration because I don't remember. But here we go. This was from a class. So well, I love the sunflowers. And here's this. This is a wonderful class. These came out so bright and graphic. They were wonderful. Now, I just want to tell you, sometime when you see somebody has a huge quilt like this done and everybody else just has a few blocks, there are some people who are known to do some pre-sewing before they get there. But we just all shake our head and go, okay, whatever. Or they sew all day and all night in the classroom where the rest of us go and enjoy ourselves. So, not that I'm jealous or anything. These are great too. But we have some wonderful teachers and people have a great time. It's a lot of fun. Aren't these? That would have been a fun class to take. But I just did not want to do a bunch of half square triangles, so I said, I'll sit this one out. But one day it might be a lot of fun to do that. And see, some people are like me. They like doing all of one step before they put stuff together. So good for them. Work your own way. Everybody claps just as well. I love it. And everybody was just lovely. Everyone got along well. We just were there to have fun. Aren't these amazing? Those are half and quarter square triangles. Beautiful. I love that one made pinwheels with hers. This was Susan Edmondson's, and if you're at all aware of her, she works with wool and does little works, makes little books, and shows you they're magical. I took a class from her once and made a tiny little magical landscape. So a lot of fun. And she puts together the best quilt kits for this. Just all kinds of charms and different kinds of threads and wonderful. Here's Miss Judy Lilly's class. Now these must be the pictures Lisa took because I didn't get to see these. But Miss Judy Lilly is an artist and she now teaches quilting and her work is amazing. So, and she really was one of the big people, the big influences of my turning to art quilting rather than traditional quilting. So beautiful, beautiful. But she gives you suggestions on what fabrics to choose and how. This is a kaleidoscope class by taught by Cindy Page. And this is going to be exquisite. I can tell. Here's the kaleidoscope. I love how when it works out, they end up having secondary designs like these big circles. Great job. We had a couple men in classes, which is always a lot of fun. There we go. They had a bunch of prizes, and those of us who had to leave to come home. See, they started out with rain, then it just started freezing. Oh, here's the hotel again. And it's a horseshoe shape, but having this window over here gave me, because you can look out and look at the water view, but it was nice having that little waterfront window. Here's the little microwave, little tiny refrigerator, and bathrooms back here. So it was nice. It was nice. Oh, when you turn on the TV, look what pops up. Now that does make you feel right special, I gotta say. And here's out that front window again. So it was very nice. I had a wonderful time. Here's the pattern again. So these little 9 patches, I decided to make them a little more bold, and I think I'll be happy with that. But it's a wonderful pattern. Wonderful. Okay, here are the teachers. This is my teacher right here. This is Patty Cline. And she's a wonderful teacher. She's been teaching for, long time. This is another teacher. I forgot. I think this is her sister with the kaleidoscope one. Look at that. Isn't that something? I have that fabric somewhere because I was so impressed with that quilt. I thought, I want to get some of that. And I believe it's a Kate facet, and it just makes up beautifully. And this was another teacher. I think this one was new this year. She did a great job. This is Miss Lily, and she is now doing where she does her own dyeing, distressing, and just really, instead of just landscape quilts, now she's just working on just the joy of fiber. Look at this. One of her trademarks is having the leaf come out of the frame of the quilt, kind of breaking that 4th dimension. I'm not sure what that was. I'm not the best picture taker. These are my pictures. This was another teacher's quilt. Oops, sorry, a little blurry. But I had this teacher, Joanna Shropshire. I had her a couple years ago. She was great. And this is her little fishes. And these are all triangles. Everything's made with triangles. And not all of these are all teachers, and not all of these were taught this time, but they just brought things they had been doing during the year, which is always great. Yeah, she taught this one this year. Okay. I'm sorry, I have forgotten her name. This is Susan Edmondson, who does the tiny little treasures and the books and journals, and just a lot of fun. She travels all over the United States. See that book right there? And behind her, this is Mardell, who's been doing the quilt party for 36 years. She is quite an angel. But look at these pages. So it's just really great to be able to kind of stretch your wings as an artist and learn something new. There's a book stretched out. She showed lots of pictures, so I just kept snapping the camera. But you can find Susan Edmondson at most large quilt shows teaching a class, so do check for her. She's very kind. Oh, I don't know who that was. Here's my classroom, and here's the quilt hanging up here. We all had our own table this year. How wonderful was that? Here's my little block hanging up. This is a picnic, like a disposable tablecloth that has the flannel flocking on the back. They are great to take to hang up a temporary design wall. I highly recommend them. This is Lisa sitting right in front of me, and I love it. We go take a class together, and we sit right near each other, and it's fun. Okay, here this was for the sale, I do believe. I do believe this was that sale that night. And here's my teacher right here and Lisa, and they're holding up my sparrow quilt. Lisa was so sweet. She said it's even more pretty in person. I was like, oh, thank you. So, and I always am critical. Here's a student from last year, her sparrow quilt. I love those big pops of color. The classroom again. Lisa in front of me again. Oh, me standing outside. I was proving I was really there. Here's another part of some quilt show. We just really had a good, this is the one, the Friday night. I left Saturday morning, and this is the one from Friday night from last year. People are mostly showing classes from last year. And if you recognize this is, what is it? Snail's Trail al fresco. We made that last summer. Some of the progress that they're doing. Oh, nice kaleidoscope there. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, I just wish we will at some point. I ran out of battery, so I do apologize. Oh, this is from my class. And look how that quilt looks in pastels. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. And people just come and get comfortable and show their stuff. That's my quilt. Oh, there I am right there. These are wonderful to see all these quilts. Just beautiful. Look at that. That is just striking. That's a snail trail al fresco. Look at that. That's from last year class Miss Judy Lilly taught. Group of all the ladies. It is just fun. It's really fun. And if you possibly can find something like this, come to this one or find one near you, because it's very, very special. People just felt comfortable showing us all their wonderful things. And it always inspires me. That was the final one, and the camera died. But it's always inspirational to me. And okay, I think, by Jove, I think we've done it. All right. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for hanging around. And I will see you again on Sunday. And I plan to have some exciting things done. But you are a joy and an inspiration to me all of the time. So thank you so much. Wherever you are, stay warm and safe. It is cold out there, and spring will come. The groundhog said it's going to take 6 weeks more, but who knows? All right, take good care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.